Well, let's keep it going because we got to hit some more stories here for the world of TV, Roxy. Let's hit some Last of Us stuff here. These now this is spoilers. Some of you were alluding to spoilers with our Andor discussion. So spoilers here. But The Last of Us Season 2, the Episode 2 reactions are continuing here. For those who played the game, they knew it was coming. However, it seems a lot of people who managed to avoid 5 years of spoilers, that would be me, were taken by surprise on Sunday. Pedro Pascal's Joel met his death on screen in the second episode of the second season of The Last of Us. As a result, there's been widespread reaction to the event of the show, still trending heavily on social media over 48 hours after the episode aired. Reactions will be familiar to those who are around for the second game's leaks and release. Though, interestingly, there has been visibly less outright hostility and the inevitable blowback. Reaction more of a shock, surprise, as well as anger. This is especially true in the case of Abby, with many responses taking pains to point out their hatred towards the character and not the actress Caitlin Dever, who has been getting praise for her performance in those scenes. That likely comes as a welcome relief for the producers and Dever after the game's Abby performer, the voiceover performer, Laura Bailey, received utterly inexcusable death threats targeting her and her newborn son back when the game spoilers leaked in 2020. Meanwhile, series co-creator and showrunner Craig Mazin says despite Joel's death, there's still a lot more of him to come in the next few episodes. Appearing in an episode of The Last of Us podcast, Mazin says, but I will say, and I'll be intentional about this, that we do know that for the viewer, there are some mysteries here. There's some gaps about Ellie and Joel's relationship, and I don't think it's a spoiler based on the fact that there is a trailer out there with lots of shots in it. This is not the last time we will see Joel, and then the article goes on to talk about all the different ways that we're going to see Joel in the show. I don't need to go into that. So, Roxy, your thoughts. A, did you watch this episode? What was your reaction? And B,
imagine if I didn't, not just told me.
No, well, you got the rundown ahead of time, so I'd be like, well,
imagine what? Also, just like constantly have no notes for society. Excellent work sending death threats to the voice actress. Excellent work. Excellent work. No notes, just so good. You must feel so good about yourself. Like, you know who I'm gonna get. Like, also, you're sending to the wrong person. She had no ability to say whatever. Anyway, on this, what do you want to talk about, John? What do you want to talk about?
What was your did you know this was coming?
And no, I had no idea.
What was your reaction? Were you in pieces? Did you stop your viewing? What happened? What was your reaction?
The most fortunate and unfortunate thing about me now, I love being on Real Rejects. Love it.
Yeah.
I'm covering this for them.
Oh, nice.
And the most fortunate thing is that we can always look back and see how I reacted. The most unfortunate thing is that we can always look back and see how I reacted. And let me tell you who was in denial.
Oh.
My face doesn't move the entire time. And I'm sitting there and I just say, no, he's fine. He's fine.
Which part did you say is fine?
The whole way through, including the body bag.
You wanted to see his head like kind of moving in the body bag?
John's sitting next to me hysterically crying. And I was like,
oh, wow.
No, I mean, maybe he's not the one in the bag. We don't know. Like everything that I said. I was like, well, no, because he moved his finger. No, he fluttered his eye. No, because through the throat, maybe he won't be able to speak anymore, but he's definitely alive. Like the way that I justified what was happening, because I had no idea. And as a TV watcher on a second episode, that's not what you do. So I was like, I also, John, went back, and you guys, if you watched the show yesterday, you know this. As a TV watcher, I am very, very adjusted to the format of television. And so when you have an apocalypse show, this is why it's so smart. They didn't do this in the game, but they did do this in the TV show because they knew people like me. When you have an apocalypse show and you take everybody who needs to survive and you put them outside the walls. So we have Joel, Ellie, Jesse, Abby, and Dina all outside the wall.
Yeah.
Immediately, I know inside the wall they're getting torched. Because everybody we need to live is outside. So I think Tommy's a goner. I think Maria's a goner. And I'm dealing with that.
You're like, Seth can go. You're like, Seth can go for his comments the night before. Yeah.
But listen, Seth's apology, that I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have even thought it.
Good apology. It's good
I shouldn't have even thought it is the key part there. Yep. So I'll take. In life, we get so few apologies. When I get an apology, I usually say thank you. I'll take it.
Yes, exactly.
It's so rare. So I'll give that to Seth. But anyway, as a TV viewer, I'm sitting here already trying to make peace with the loss of Maria, which didn't end up happening.
You were
That's
mentally.
what
I see.
thinking.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking, okay, that sucks, but I can deal with it.
Right.
So when we get to the Joel stuff, I'm beyond will. I'm so not willing to accept what was happening. I just made up a whole different story in my head, like a lunatic. I was like, no. Through the neck, I was like, yeah, well, it's gonna be a hard recovery from that. That's a tough recovery, but we'll do it together. Body bag. I was like, could he breathe in that thick of fabric? Was it maybe I mean, just truly delusional. That was my response.
Yeah.
What was your response, and what did you know going into this?
All right, let's talk about Stitch Fix. I know shopping's hard. I know it is. I found a much better way to do it, though. Stitch Fix, online personal styling, and makes it so easy. I'm not a shopping person. Doesn't matter. Even if I can figure out my size, stores never seem to really have what I need in stock. Then I'm not a crowds person. I'm not a lines person. I don't have the time for it. Stitch Fix, it gets you a stylist who understands your style, understands the size, gets the budget. They do all the shopping for you. So I just give my stylist the one that I have right now. I give them the size, I give them the style, I give the budget preferences. I order boxes when I want, how I want, no subscription required. And he just sends me for pieces, pluses, outfit recommendations, styling tips. It's awesome. I keep what works and then I send back the rest. It's very easy. There's no stores, there's no crowds, there's no stress. Just personalized looks that you're going to love. Stitch Fix makes it all so easy. And it looks like you know what you're doing, too. If you're walking around, you go, hey, look at you. You're in style. I said, I know, right? And then I give Stitch Fix some props. Anyway, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/KHS. One more time, stitchfix.com/KHS.
I sensed it was coming.
But you didn't know.
I didn't know, but I know that people had kept saying to me, just you wait till the second season. There's something really shocking that happens. And, when you've watched enough TV shows, and I've watched almost 4+ decades of TV shows,
Yes.
you know what that means when they talk about a shocking moment. So what it means?
I hadn't heard that. I had heard nothing about a
really?
shocking moment. Yeah. No one said that to me.
All our reviews for last season when we did them on the Geek Buddies, people were just like, just you wait till season 2, just you wait. And it was like, okay. So I had a feeling. I know it was going to happen this early in the season? Hell no. But the second Abby says to him, when he wants to go back to Jackson Hole, we're only a minute away from my house. We can just go right up here. I was like, oh man, this is happening. Are they doing it this early in the season? And when she shot him in the leg and then pulled out the golf club, oh man, I just was heartbroken because I love Pedro so much.
Yeah,
and I love to see him in these shows so much and the brutality with which they did it, and then cutting to her using her fists to do it. And it's going to be really interesting because, Roxy, as an avid TV watcher, you know that they will present a character that seems pretty evil initially. And then you spend more time with him, you get more of the backstory. I think that's the difference between the HBO version and the video game version. You didn't know until way later in the video game why she killed Joel. And apparently that's what caused people to get really, really angry. Not that they should have done any of those death threats, but in this way, they presented her as the daughter of the doctor, so that's her reasoning. But the way she carried out the death, I think, has been a subject of debate because a lot of people say, well, Joel did a lot of stuff. He alluded to doing terrible stuff last season, and he did indiscriminately kill all those fireflies. And with the way she carried out the death here, she was torturing him. Yeah. And so it's almost more psychopathic. You could argue which is the more psychopathic, killing with indifference or killing and relishing it and taking your time with one particular person. So I like that debate has sparked out of this because both sides have validity. So it's just a matter of where you fall on it,
Yeah, absolutely. In the chat, Sam, let me know if I'm using the wrong pronouns for somebody. I don't know who uses different pronouns than we're
Bella Ramsey, she's a they them.
Oh,
they're a they them. But
Bella Ramsey's pronouns are they them. I didn't know.
We haven't referenced Bella. We were else. Yeah. So,
but I didn't know. Thank you for letting me know. So yeah, Just on this, I think that another thing that was interesting that I hadn't heard until recently was Caitlyn. You said Deaver. I've been saying Dever. Is that wrong?
Okay. I don't. I've heard Deaver, but if it's Dever, it's Dever. You would know more than me. It's more than
no. I wouldn't. I just made it up. So I always say Caitlyn Dever, but maybe it's Deaver. But Caitlyn lost, I believe, her mom 3 days before shooting this. Or
yes. No. It was the funeral was 3 days before shooting this. She had lost her mom 2 or 3 weeks before shooting this, but the funeral was 3 days before this. Yeah.
So I didn't know that also. And then looking back, and the first thing that she shot was the scene with Joel, the horrific scene. And so imagine like the anger that you're feeling in life and whatever it was. I just think that she did such an unbelievable job. And like you were speaking about, that we already knew that this was because she had had a parent killed in this game, you know, that she's already explained that. Fuel to that, she just absolutely nailed this performance. I thought that she was so phenomenal. I did see her getting some hate on her Instagram. Pedro immediately posted a picture of the two of them, I think, to try to mitigate some of that. But props to her. And I think that, speaking of young actresses who are going to take off, obviously she's already very big, but I think that this is, she was so good here.
Yeah.
And Bella's always great. So just everybody, the performances are spot on. I'm obsessed with Jesse.
He's a good looking dude.
I just need to let you know, I'm obsessed with his demeanor too. Like everything about him. I
like
love
him,
Jesse.
like him ball busting her about the kiss at the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Jesse. It's a great addition.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I thought, they all did a great job. And you're right to bring up what Caitlyn had gone through just before she shot this. And Craig Mason, and Druckmann both said to her, because they had scheduled it to shoot right after her mother had died, but they said to her, we will shoot all around you. We'll do second unit. We'll do all of this. You tell us what day you're ready to shoot, and we will shoot the scene. Yeah. So they were very caring, because they were like, look, this is a show, but that's real life. And so we will work around you. And I don't think, I'm so happy to see productions that respect their talent as much as they respect themselves. And so it was great to see that for her. And you're right. There, when I read that quote, it put her performance in a whole nother context. I went and rewatched the scene, and you're like, man, there's a blurring of the lines here. You can tell for how she's reacting to things that I think was really essential to the scene, and
phenomenal.
What's your feeling? Do you think they left her alive and Dina alive as witnesses because they were honoring their code of not killing unarmed people, even though they did kill Joel? Do you think, or do you think they don't think she is a threat to them, or Dina is a threat to them?
When Abby says we don't kill unarmed people, I said out loud, "Oh, you're going to give him a gun?
You're going to give him a fair chance. You're going to give him a fair chance."
So just so you know my headspace, I said, "Oh, she's going to give him a gun." I was so wrong every step of the way. I think that Abby herself probably at that point would have killed them all, because we saw that she was just so much further along in this spite and vengeance journey, and that everybody around her was like, "You're pushing it too far. You're pushing too far." But I think Abby knew if she did that she would be ostracized by the rest of her community.
That's an excellent point, because we did see throughout the episode how her compatriots were really uncomfortable with this, how they were going to lie to her. So they wouldn't attack Jackson, because they would have all died. Absolutely. Considering how they fought off that horde, 5 people showing up wouldn't have been anything to them.
Right.
And so, it's a great point. And then when she unleashes and tells that one girl to keep it down, to shut the fuck up, is what she says. And then says, "I'll kill her." And like, I agree with you. If Abby was alone, she probably would have killed Joel, killed Dina. And then when Ellie showed up, we had the battle between them. And so
that would have been interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to be curious to see where the show goes with this, because, she held on to that trauma for 5 years, and she killed
would have held on to it for 45 years.
Exactly.
However, however long it took.
And she killed him with the vigor that she would have killed him as if it had been the next day.
Right.
And so that's going to be interesting because now she has passed. Joel passed on the loss of her daughter on to Abby. And now Abby has passed on the loss of her dad to Ellie because Ellie witnessed the death of her own pseudo father. So will this be just constant passing on of trauma? Will this be a revenge thing? Or will we have these two kind of come together and have a bit of an understanding of the whole situation? Because we're going to get more scenes with Joel throughout the season in flashback.
And you're talking specifically about Ellie, which I think is the person who's affected the most, but not to forget that Dina was very close with Joel and also Wallace was in the room.
That's a good point.
And then not also to forget the fact that Tommy has made it out of his situation.
Right.
So what is his and Jesse is one of the dragger backs of Joel. So there's a lot of people invested in this situation. I heard in the games that it's not Dina that's there, but it's Tommy that's there.
Yeah, Tommy's there. Yeah.
So I am curious about what this will mean for Tommy's future journey too. Is he going to be as vengeful as Ellie is, or is he going to have to take the Joel position with Ellie and try to protect her?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I feel like Dina's going to slide into that role, which is why I think they did a great job of introducing her last episode. And Isabella Merced is doing great work with Dina. And I think that's going to be but the Tommy thing is interesting because remember in the last season, they made a point of stressing how Tommy was a bit of a mess up when he was younger and that being with Maria, getting a child, that has really stabilized his life. So now that Joel has come back into his life and been taken out of his life, you know, a year later after he's come back to Jackson Hole, what is the reaction?
Did you guys lose John or did you guys lose me?
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I think it might be on my end because I got that spinning wheel of death. Am I back?
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So we'll see.
Scary moment.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Tommy and where he goes with that pain.